And today it's a very special day. Today we commemorate the passing of the founder of our art, Senior Grandmaster Edmond Kialoha Parker, who passed away on a day like today, 32 years ago. 1990, he's untimely dead, you might say, because, well, he was still young, but, well, he left us, and he left us a big legacy, an important art, and, for some of us, a way of living, of maintaining our family, bringing food to our tables. So very grateful with the man for all of this. So thank you so much to Senior Grandmaster Parker, wherever you are. I hope you're doing great. Okay, so today we have an amazing show. Kenpo, rank, lineage, and the street with Senior Master Tim Bullitt. The man is a long time friend of mine. He's also my senior in Kenpo, my mentor in police tactics, my instructor. And he has shared with me a lot in Kenpo. I remember back in I think it was 96 when I met him back on the Green Street studio at Pasadena. He was there, doing his thing with the man, with Grandmaster Larry. And I remember because he was the guy who had all these grafting ideas with the techniques I was so excited to learn. And he also had a lot of ideas with mass attacks. He was experimenting on that back then. So it was so cool to see a senior black belt. I was still a brown belt back in those days when I met him. I think it was a green belt or a brown belt. I think I was already a brown belt. But I will see the man and, doing his thing. It was so exciting. So let me just shut up now and bring in the man of the hour, Senior Master Tim Bullitt. Hello, my friend.
Hey, Frank, how you doing? Appreciate that. It's a heck of an introduction. That's a lot to level up to there. So,
but it's true, my friend. I remember that distinctively. You were doing your techniques, and I was like, wow, a bunch of stuff that I didn't know, and the way you were grafting stuff, and you can still see that in some of your productions that you are doing right now, in your videos that you are reproducing, that new series.
Right. Yeah, we're going back and pulling a lot of that out and so forth. And yeah, we can talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, the depth behind that and why I looked at it. But you talked about Master Parker, and so I just wanted to share my take on that with you and with our audience. But I remember that day, the day he passed away. I was a member of the IKKA school in Fort Worth, and I got a call that evening that he had passed away, and it was a shock, because I think I'm wanting to say in about October of that same year, he was down, and we had testing and seminar and all that. So he spent quite a bit of time at the school, and I actually got to have a little one-on-one with him, a little Q&A and so forth. I mean, he always felt time to, and I think it was because I was a police officer, he kind of gravitated towards that and so forth. So I got to talk to him a little bit, and he showed me a couple of things, and then we went to the seminar, and there was testing, and I think I got my first brown at that time. I was getting close to getting black. I already had black in Tracy's. I was getting close to having black. But anyway, there was a connection. I got a photo, which I lost in my fire, of course, and then autographed book and things of that nature. And it was a great time. And then I got that call from the school. And so us seniors at the school, we met that night and talked about some things, and then we had a workout in his honor, and so forth. So that was a sad day. That was the day that Kenpo was forever changed, without a doubt, because things were definitely different after that. And where I was, it's like it left a hole in us, because we were still in search of curriculum. You got to remember, there was no videos or any of that back in this day. It was all learned instructor to student. You didn't know what that next technique looked like until you were taught it by your instructor. And God, I miss that. I mean, the excitement. And now it's like they go look it up and they'll look at some guy doing it. He's probably not even doing it right on the internet. And they're like, I don't want to learn that. Or they try to learn it and you go to show them and you're like, what, who's been showing you this, and which I didn't permit that in my school. But so it was just like a huge hole, like, okay, where is the curriculum going to come from now? And so, I want to say that was in 90. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not trying to not be negative, but things kind of deteriorated pretty quick. So in 91, I think it was January of 91 is when I had my first class with Larry. And yeah, so
that was a month after.
Yeah. It's I was at the point to where that I'm not gonna get involved in, because the political fallout from his, as you can only imagine, was something, and I just didn't have time for it. I just didn't have. It's like, look, I just need to learn this art. I want to learn this art. I've been chasing a Kenpo black belt for 12 years. And I wanted to finish, and I didn't want to cut it down to 16 techniques to make up for the lack of the curriculum. And Larry made it all come together. But that was a tough time. That was a tough time for the whole art. And I'm just speaking as I guess you could say I'm a high ranking student in the brown belt levels in the Parker system at that time. I was teaching regularly and contributing regularly at the school and so forth. But it changed it for forever.
And then we have was what 2 years later that Mr. Tatum came up with the self-defense technique tapes. 2.5 years later, 92, 93.
Yeah, I think I was a second or a third degree when we filmed those. I don't recall. But yes, probably it was in the early to mid 90s when
and that was a game changer, I guess, right?
That changed the Kenpo world without a doubt. Okay, the Panther tapes came out, I guess, in the late 80s, and that was already piquing interest. That was that was groundbreaking. For videos back then. And it was a huge contribution. But yeah, the self-defense tapes changed everything, because it was, I guess it was the first documentation of the curriculum right through the endings, which I don't know if people didn't want to learn it or back then, or they didn't have an opportunity to learn it. But I was thirsty for it. Now luckily when we filmed those, I already had all that from Larry. But it was, when Mr. Parker died, I was, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but for me, it was like, how am I ever going to get this material now? And in the depth of his death goes beyond that, because what he represented was huge. I mean, I shed a tear. I'm not going to lie. I shed a tear. It was crushing, because Kenpo was, especially as a police officer, that was my main defensive tactics. Okay. And so forth. And I wanted to be part of that direct lineage. And so forth. And, it wasn't out of the realm for me to train with him personally. Now I've been through a handful of seminars under him, but to train with him, that wasn't impossible. I had the means of doing that. And, but my opportunity never materialized to become a personal student because he left us early. And it was a shock. Yeah, it was a shock, no doubt.
Right.